Okay, we're all set. Let's do this. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Pierre, your host. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I know that I did. Thanks for asking. So, my friends, it's a new week. That's pretty exciting. We're getting very close to the end of our painting. And what are we going to do? Well, first of all, we're going to start off our day like we always do. We're going to go over to the computer. We're going to check out what we did on Friday just to remember what the hell we did. And then we'll tackle our day from there. So, what did we do on Friday? Well, I think basically we put the first coat of our cerulean paint on our main character, and then eventually we added little flowers. Ah, yes, giving it time to dry. And then we added little flowers on our splattering of the previous day. And then eventually we finished off these little sperms on this little frame of our centerpiece. So that is basically what we did. So what are we going to do today? Well, I would really like to make some progress and try to finish this centerpiece. What I have to do is put a second coat of the cerulean paint, the light blue. Then I'm going to put some darker cerulean blue for the shadowing. And then I'd like to, so I think what I'm going to do, because I don't want to work and wait for it to dry and have a 10-minute stream until tomorrow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this second coat of light blue cerulean paint first. And while that is drying, I am going to go to our frame. Now I notice this frame is, and I say this quite a bit on my stream, is that when paint dries, it has a tendency to darken. And the purple of this frame has darkened so much. I had to put 2 coats on just to hide the brush strokes. And it is so dark that you can barely tell that it's purple. When I walked in, I looked at it and I hesitated. It looked almost that it was black, but it isn't black. It is dark, dark purple. So what I'm going to do while the cerulean blue is drying, I'm going to add some shadowing of a little bit lighter purple so that you can see that it is purple. Hopefully it'll make it better, richer, give it some depth as well. So when I put on my turquoise green borders on this frame the other day because I wanted to go quickly, I kind of jumped the gun. So, but no big deal. No big deal. That's a wonderful thing with painting. You can always go back and fix your screw ups. So, this said, I am going to prepare the cerulean blue. Just get some cerulean blue, which is right here. Didn't go very far. And I'm going to add some white paint to that to make it lighter. I used to use cerulean blue straight out of the tube for the lighter color, and then I would put cobalt blue for the darker. But since I moved to southern France, where you have a lot of sunlight, a lot of pastel colors, I've kind of lightened up, as you can tell, my palette. Usually it's really intense colors when I was living in the States and in Paris. But anyways, so we got the cerulean blue. I'm going to add some white to that. Then where's my little knife? There it is. So since this is the second coat, I don't really have to match exactly that same color. If it's a little bit lighter or just a tad bit darker, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to try not to go darker though. So, that said, let me just clean off my knife. So I was kind of pissed off this morning when I showed up in the studio because I made a huge mistake on Friday. After I finish streaming, you know, I go and I edit the work of the day down to movies so I can make the quick recap. And so I can eventually, when the painting is done, make a longer movie, 2-3-minute long movie that I put on YouTube of the entire process of making a painting. So I do that, and then I get my stuff ready for Instagram, making the pictures and everything like that. And then, of course, since it's Friday, I kind of book right after that, woohoo, weekend, ready to party and everything. And my huge mistake that I made is that I left my jar of black paint open. And that is something I never do, and I hate doing, because I came back today and I found like a little 1/4-inch thick coat of dry black paint, which means that I had to scoop it off, put it in here, and it's basically a waste of quite a bit of black paint. And I hate wasting my paint when you see how much they cost. So, that was a real drag, and I can't believe I did that on Friday. I can understand being in a rush to leave, but making that kind of a mistake doesn't happen to me very often. Okay, so that said, where am I doing? Okay, let's mix these colors together. And you know what? I'm going to go over to camera number 1. I'm going to bring it a little closer, and we can do this blending of the colors together. So let me bring this guy over here, just like that. I'll bring a jar of water that I'll put on my little bar stool right here. And I'll switch cameras right now and bring this down. There we go. So there we have the dark cerulean blue, the white, and let's mix all this together. There we go. I'm going to have to add some water, of course, because it's awfully thick. There we go. Get a nice, beautiful baby blue. There we go. Nothing too complicated. And that looks basically the same color I had on our canvas. Maybe it's a little bit lighter. And like I said, it doesn't matter. The lighter, the better, maybe. So let's bring the camera up. Let's go to our, here, I'll even bring it closer since I'll be using it in a few seconds. Bring that up. I'll zoom in on our guy. So we're going to be quite a bit lighter, as you can tell, right? So maybe I should add, just come over here and add just a little bit more of the cerulean blue. I mean, that is light. It doesn't look bad, but it's maybe just a little bit too light. So I am just going to add, there we go, a little drop more of this cerulean blue that I'm going to very quickly mix just to make it a little bit darker. There we go. I'm going to add a drop of water as well. I think it's still going to be a little bit lighter than what we have on the canvas, but it doesn't matter really. The second coat is basically just to hide all the brush strokes from that first coat. Obviously, I wish I could just put one coat on everything that I paint, but most of the time I have to put 2 coats. And with certain colors like the azo yellow, for example, I have to put like 3 coats. Orange also. Usually I have to put 2, even sometimes 3 coats. They are colors that don't cover very well, not very opaque once they're dry. Okay, so this looks pretty good. I think my brush is going to be way too wide for what we're going to be doing, so I will find something else. I don't remember really what I used the other day. It doesn't really matter. I just want to make sure I have total control over what I'm doing. This brush looks pretty good. Let's get this wet for a few seconds. I'm going to step back also. You know what I'm going to do? I'm also just going to bring my fan over a little bit closer, right there. And I'm going to turn it on. It will help the paint to dry faster so that I can just make sure I continue and get a good day's work in. I was really hoping to finish this guy, well, not finish him today, at least the background colors, finish him with that. And then tomorrow we could do the outline. But I'm pretty sure we can still do that. So, and with the help of the fan, it's also very warm still here. I'm also going to pop over here and grab a little sip of water. There we go. All right, so I'll just come over to camera number 1 completely here, I guess. Start off like that. Of course, when this dries, they'll be a lot darker as well, just like with the purple paint. I know that on the camera you can't really tell, but from where I am, I could definitely see the brush strokes of my first coat, and it didn't look very nice. That's why this second coat is so important. And then after that, we'll do the shading. And after that, we'll do the outlines. Go. There we go. Give that guy a little bit of muscle. Not because you're sensitive that you can't have any muscles. After all, you want a healthy body and a healthy mind. There we go. All right. Come on. Well, let's pull the camera back. There we go. Oh, why? I'm fighting the camera. Yeah, the fan is blowing my hair into the paint. Most times when I get paint in my hair, I just let it dry, and then I just pull it off, yank it. I rarely go to the sink and wash it off while it's still wet. Usually I don't even realize I got paint on my hair, so anyways. Okay, very good. All right, almost done. Let this dry as we move over to the frame and start the shadowing on that. And then probably going to have to fix certain areas where I put those green, turquoise green lines. Going to have to fix those. Okay, so let me just check all this out. There, looks pretty good. Okay, that does look all right, so we'll just leave it like that. Come back and do the darker turquoise shading once we get that frame done. So let me grab a palette here. Guess this is a palette I already used. It's full of purple paint. It's just going to peel off. Can I get a clean palette out of this? Sure it's dry enough. Do 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 do. Okay, come on. You want to cooperate? No, you don't. Okay, well then, it doesn't matter. We'll just use another palette. Got plenty of palettes. Are you going to cooperate? You don't seem like you want to either. What's going on with all these palettes here? See, I'll show you. I'll go back to camera number 1 here. And as you can see, acrylic paints is, the binder of acrylic paints is a polymer emulsion. So then if you can grab it in the right spot and it's on a non-porous surface, well, you can see that it just kind of peels right off. Just like that. You can see that it's very plastic, right? The polymer emulsion, which is the binder of the pigments, nothing else than plastic. And then you end up brand new clean palette. So that's one of the nice things about acrylic paints. as well. Besides the fact that it doesn't smell and brushes can clean themselves with water and soap. Very practical. And then again, if it's really a plastic base, well, theoretically, that stuff lasts like hundreds, thousands of years. I mean, we'll be all dead. Civilization will be extinct, and my paintings will be there, rotting away slowly by some sort of evolutionary, well, cockroaches probably can appreciate them. Try to figure out what the hell they are. Anyways, so let's get back to something more realistic. Here's some purple paint. And I'm going to put some white. Now I have to be careful, of course, with the white paint. I don't want it to be too radically drastic in my shading. I want it to be kind of discreet, of course. I was going to go with a black frame. So a dark, dark purple that looks almost black doesn't really disturb me in what I had in mind in the first place. But I do like having shadowing just because it gives it, even though there'll be a lot of details on top of it and you theoretically shouldn't barely notice it, but it does give it depth. And that's what I want. That is the effect that I'm going for. So here's the purple paint. I'm not going to need very much because I'm not going to be painting it on. I'm just going to be dabbing it on like that. So I got the purple paint. I'm going to clean off. I'm going to get rid of this black paint that makes me weep every time I look at it. Reminds me of how stupid I was on Friday to leave that jar without closing it. So let me just clean off my knife so I don't put purple paint in the white paint and whatnot. There we go. Get this baby nice and clean. There we go. That looks pretty clean. Now, of course, when I say it's clean, everything, of course, is very relative, right? This is what I consider a clean knife. So, that's what I'm saying. Everything is relative. So, let me add just a tad. Just a little bit of white paint. And I mean a little bit. So I'm going to just put like a little, even this might be too much. So I don't know exactly the amount I need. I'm just going to, let me put a little bit right there. This should do it. And it might still be too much. I'm going to find that out in a few seconds. And I guess I'll do this on camera number 1 like before so we can check it out together. And for that, I might as well pick the brush I'm going to be using. Again, I'm going to take a swig of water. There we go. I'm not going to be using that. I'm going to be using one of these brushes. I'm not sure which one yet. Or maybe one of these back over here. Something like this guy here. This looks pretty good. Just going to put him to soak for a few seconds. Yeah, just a little bit of white. I'm not going to put this whole, well, let me just switch over and go to camera number 1. And I'll turn it over here. So there's the white right there. And the purple. So I am just gonna, as you can see, barely, oops, get that hair out of the way. I don't know where these hairs come from, but anyway. So just get a little bit on my brush like that. And then let's blend this in. As you can see, almost immediately, it is turning into a lighter purple. That is almost what we're going to be wanting. So let me just add a little bit of water to that because it is awfully thick. So you see it's still very dark, but you can definitely tell now that it's a purple color. So I didn't need that much white at all. And I'm going to try this on the frame and see what it looks like. I don't think I need too much more water on this. Like I said, I'm not going to be painting. I'm just going to be like dabbing it on like that. So let's bring the camera up. Let's try it out here, right on the edge of this frame, right here. Like right about here, maybe. So let me zoom in a little bit. And I have to keep in mind that this also is going to darken So can you see that? Right there. And as it dries and darkens, are we going to be still able to see it or not? I'm going to turn the fan a little bit over more to the left. Just going to wait a few seconds. See if this dries. As it dries, it does look darker, doesn't it? When I zoom in, you can tell that it's there basically because of the light from the window that's shining off it. Let me just stand back for a second. If it stayed the color that it is now, it would be perfect. That's what I want. The dark purple there. But I know these colors. I know how they react as they dry. That's why I'm hesitant. I don't want to waste time and having to go back and do this a second time as well. Now I could add just a little bit more white to the paint, just to be sure that it stays lighter as it dries. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to add a little bit more white. There we go. So let me zoom back out, bring down the camera here to my palette, and grab a little bit of water. And we're just going to lighten this up, just a whisker. think this was the right move, just to lighten it up again, because I keep repeating myself, but it's because I keep thinking the same thing to myself, that it's going to darken as it dries. So let's go back to where we were just a few seconds ago. Which is right there. And you can see it has almost disappeared because it has darkened so much. So I am going to go back on top of it with this much lighter purple that you can obviously see much better. And I'm going to continue going up because I have a feeling this is going to be just right. It is going to darken as it dries. That's quite all right. So let's continue like that. I'm just going to continue very quickly. I will have to go back over that turquoise green line later on, but it doesn't matter. I could avoid it, but it wouldn't. It'd be a drag not to do things the way it should be done. So I'll bring the camera over. So I see where we first started, how it definitely is darkening as it's drying, as I said it would do. I'm going to continue. If I have to come back and do it a third time, well, I'll come back and do it a third time. I was hoping I wouldn't have to, but I can't cut corners and make something that doesn't look right. So I'm going to grab my chair as well. And we'll continue down this lower edge right down here. Beautiful purple. I hope it stays like that. Doubt it somehow. Okay. I'm going to have to move the camera over back to here. No. Should have put some staples to hold this down. There we go. And we are back to where we first started. So let's pull this camera back up here, and back to over here, and see where we stand. So I'm looking back to this area here, which is kind of dry, and it is already very dark, and you can't really tell that there is that light purple. Right, if we go back to where we started, which is right around here, like right here, for example, if you look right here where it's almost dry, while it is so dark that you really can't tell. So what does that mean? What is the conclusion of what I'm saying? The conclusion is that it's going to be too dark. That's what I'm saying. Okay, well, no big deal. No big deal. We'll deal with that afterwards. Let's go back to our main character, because I do have to put the first coat of the darker ceruleum. Move that over. I'm going to clear this over here as well. Because I am going to have to bring my bar stool over here to sit on. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of finger painting right there and fix a few screw-ups. Go. Okay, so where am I at? Making the cerulean blue for our guy. Boop 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 boom boop 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 boom. There we go. Yes, I'll use my whiter brush to mix in with some water. And maybe I'm just going to add a little bit of this lighter ceruleum in there. There you go, not too much. I don't have much of a surface to paint, but that is not an excuse to be cheap with the paint. I'm going to add a little more. Like that, I'm not going to have to worry if I have enough or not. There we go. There we go. Better to have just a little too much than not enough. And again, I'm just going to grab a little bit of the lighter ceruleum that I'll mix with that. There we go. So why not do it together? That's a good idea. I'll come back down here. There we go. Once it's all mixed together, it gets darker. And of course, when it dries, it gets even darker. So that is going to be perfect, right? Like that. Of course, we'll have to put two coats down. So it's really the second coat that's going to be the most important. There we go. Okay, so bring this over here. Bring that up to our guy. And finally, we'll get rid of that white, just so obnoxious. There we go. So, this camera, unfortunately, is a real pain in the neck, isn't it? Always a little bit out of focus on its own. I have to keep an eye on it constantly. Okay, so let's go and add the first coat to our guy. Go. Not used to working this small anymore. There we go. Oh, I have to stay a little bit concentrated. That's why I'm not talking It's kind of nice as well, I'm sure. Oh. Okay, I gotta step back and take a look from afar. Okay, very good. This is basically how I'm gonna leave it until we do the outline. So let me get rid of this. So I'm looking at the frame that we just did a few minutes ago, and I can see the that the purple we put is a little bit lighter than the actual frame. I'm wondering if it's not too dark still. But anyways, let's concentrate on this guy still. I'll bring the fan over so that our guy gets very good. Okay, very good. So I can see the slightly purple shadowing, but I think it's going to be just all right. Just kind of what I wanted, a lighter purple. Honestly, if the whole frame had been like that, it would have been even better. That's the way Cookie crumbles. I don't know if you can see right in there. Maybe if I put it like that, you can see a little bit lighter right here. And yes, you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to leave that the way it is. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little bit of this purple turquoise, not purple turquoise, turquoise green. And I'm going to go over the marks that I kind of went over with the purple. Just fix that up. And then we're going to probably call it a day. Well, one step at a time. One step at a time. Get a palette here, get my knife over here. There. I'm going to add a little bit of white paint to that, make it a little bit lighter. Now it's going to be tricky to find exactly the right combination. I'm going to try to keep my fingers crossed and hopefully we will get close to what we have on our canvas right here. And you know what, if it doesn't completely match, it doesn't matter either because it will just make it, looks like it has some shiny highlights if it's a little bit lighter or darker. So it can't go wrong, right? Got to invent the excuses that goes with the painting. Okay, a little bit of white, there we go. All right. So let's blend this in together here. Just to make it a little lighter, and like usual, I guess I'll come over to camera. Number one, we can do this together here. So just blend these two together. How's that? Is that almost the same color? It is. Okay, so let's leave it at that. Very good. So I'll bring the camera back up. And I'll come back over here. I'm just going to add a tad of water because that is awfully thick. There we go. And I'm going to grab my paintbrush that I used the other day for this kind of a job. There we go. Get rid of the excess water. Go. And I'm just going to work my way around the frame. I'll just start on that upper left-hand corner. Shit, I think I just put a bunch of green paint on my nose. Okay. So where am I here? I want to go to camera number 1. There we go. So we can fix these kind of guys right here. Right, just like that. And a little bit on top of that right here. Very good. And we'll just go around the top and fix all our little screw ups. Just like that. Yeah, that purple shadowing is barely noticeable. I wonder if tomorrow when we show up and it's dried overnight, if it's not going to be too dark again. It always looks like it's dry on the surface, but then again, it always darkens below the surface after several hours. So that will be the real test when we show up tomorrow. And if it's too dark, well, we'll just go over it again, really. Get this baby to be just right. And I am going to add a few staples. Oops, I'm out of staples, okay? So, I'm just going to step back here in my kitchen area where I have all my materials. Including my staples. There we go. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to do the same to the other side as well. Right over here. Not sticking very well. Doesn't matter. So, let's go back over here. So where am I? I'm about right up here. There we go. And I'll come back to camera number 1. Yeah, those staples just make it so much easier. The canvas isn't bouncing back and forth. There we go. And I'm going to grab my chair right here. Just like that. Okay. I just have this last corner down here to do. Fixing the screw ups. Well, it's not really a screw up. It's just, we're perfectionists, that's all. Want things to look just right. You know, so we can add another 0 to the check for when we sell this painting. Okay, so did we go all the way around? Almost. Just have that upper corner to do. Right here. Right there. And a little bit right here where that staple is. That's that shiny thing that you see is the staple. Get underneath it like that. So that looks good. Or at least it doesn't look bad. Let's put it that way. So where am I here? I want to come over to camera number 2. Pull camera number 1 back. I'm going to pull my fan back as well, make some room here. Okay. Very good, very good. So all we need to do is do the outline here, do the eyeball as well, and then we can add the rest of the shadowing just to bring it into perfection. If such a thing exists, I'm not sure, I'm not convinced. And then we'll be all done with that part, and we can just concentrate on our frame. I see, since I have some purple paint right here, and my brushes are all nice and wet, I am just going to fix right in here a little bit of the screw up that I had. So let me zoom in right to where we're going to be working. And like that, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Where is it? Right in here. Right in that guy there. So I do a major zoom in like that. And as you can see, a little bit of the purple is all kind of screwed up there. So et voila. Very good. So let's pull this baby back. So that's what our painting looks like. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. Just like that. Our painting by camera number 2. And then we'll just switch over to camera number 1, which is a lot closer. And it gives us an idea of what we have done today. And that we're getting awfully close to the end of our painting. So my friends, I want to thank you very much for joining me. I hope as well that you will join me tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Like usual, I'm going to leave you with 2 things. I'm going to leave you with my schedule, which is very simple because since it's the same almost every day. And by saying, ciao mes amis.